Hey, how's it going, guys? So we're back for another Star Wars reaction video. So this one is called 10 War Crimes Committed by the Jedi Order. And shout out to Red5, the name of the channel, who did this video. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. So 10 War Crimes Committed by the Jedi Order. Well, I mean, that's pretty much how it is. Like, any position of power or any, powerful group, there's always some, shady deals going on or some underground dealings or anything, because one thing that does come to mind right off the top of my head is the video that I did, which was Shadow of the Republic, which is a fan-made film. Go check that out. And it shows that the Republic commandos were sent in to basically kill clones and the senator to make it look like a separatist attack, so that way it didn't really show on there, but I'm guessing it's to approve some sort of counterattack or something, to push votes, I'm guessing, because that's usually how or the reason why there are crimes or shady deals happening, to put something in their favor. So we're gonna see what kind of war crimes the council committed. So without anything else, let's get into it.
The Jedi Knights, described by Obi-Wan Kenobi as
guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic,
who, according to Grandmaster Yoda, used the Force
for knowledge and defense, never for attack.
That is, until the Clone Wars broke out. It didn't take long for the Jedi Code to begin to crumble, evident by Mace Windu saying,
"We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers,"
before, mere days later, separating Jango Fett's head from his body while his young son looked on. In fact, by our earthly standards, the Jedi were flat-out war criminals. There's no beating around the bush. With that said, in today's video, we're taking a look at 10 war crimes committed by the Jedi Order.
Sorry about that, guys. I should have turned it into full screen, but let's take a look.
What is a war crime? In the real world, a war crime is a violation of the laws of war. Usually this refers to any serious violation of international humanitarian law committed during armed conflict. These violations are typically outlined in various international treaties and conventions, with the most well-known likely being the Geneva Convention, negotiated and updated in the aftermath of the Second World War. The Geneva Convention extensively defines the basic rights of wartime prisoners, civilians, and military personnel, establishes protections for the wounded and sick, and provides protection for the civilians in and around a war zone. Are there established laws of war in Star Wars akin to a Geneva Convention? No, there are not. But it's fair to assume a democratic government like the Galactic Republic would, or at least should, have had some standards for the Clone Wars. But even if they did, it's pretty clear the Jedi generals did not care. In fact, they probably should have added another line to the Jedi Code. Something like, there is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is harmony. There is no Geneva Convention, there is the Geneva Bucket List.
Okay, before we jump into the 10 war crimes, what I really liked was how he defined war crimes, just from the real world into this, so that way in case of some people don't understand that what a war crime is completely. So I really do like that. All right, let's start with the first one. What is the first war crime the Jedi Order committed?
1. Perfidy, or false surrender. One of the most egregious and clear examples of a Jedi war crime was the constant act of fake surrendering to the Separatists. In real life, the act of perfidy is a form of deception in which one promises to act in good faith, for instance raising a flag of truce with the intention of breaking that promise once the unsuspecting enemy is exposed. And boy, did the Jedi ever love to use this quote-unquote strategy. In the Clone Wars movie, which kickstarted the animated series, Obi-Wan Kenobi surrendered to Separatist General Worm Loathsome during the Battle of Christophsis. At this point, the droid army had Kenobi's forces beat. Their infantry and artillery were protected by a shield generator that rendered the Republic's heavy cannons useless. Obi-Wan went as far as having tea with Loathsome and asking about food and shelter for his troops. In actuality, he was just stalling while Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano disabled the shield generator. And once it was down, Republic cannons immediately opened fire on the droids, and Obi-Wan Kenobi arrested Loathsome.
Fire!
Something appears to have happened to your shield, General.
Not to be outdone, Anakin went on to commit the same war crime twice. First, when breaking the blockade over Ryloth. After Ahsoka Tano was unsuccessful in leading a squadron of starfighters against the forces of Captain Mar Tuck, Anakin had his damaged Venator-class Star Destroyer evacuated. He then offered himself, his crew, and his ship in exchange for the delivery of relief supplies to Ryloth's surface. When the droid scans indicated only Skywalker was on board, Tuck flatly rejected Skywalker's offer, but Anakin quipped that the captain could still have his ship, powering on the cruiser's engines and abandoning the battleship with R2-D2. The massive ship slammed into the Separatist Lucrehulk and made way for another starfighter attack. Anakin did it once more during one of the final campaigns.
Yeah, so this is the one that first came to mind when I thought about fake surrender, because I think it was the most recent. But now he's like recapping. Yeah, I remember now Obi-Wan did that in the Clone Wars movie, and Anakin Skywalker did that, like crashing his like damaged Venator into like the Separatist warship. So it just blows my mind that's all across the seasons right now. Christ.
The Clone Wars, the Battle of Yavana, after Obi-Wan Kenobi and the 212th Attack Battalion were overrun by droid forces, Anakin Skywalker and the 501st arrived to reinforce. Rather than joining in the head-on assault, Anakin approached the droids and falsely surrendered. That is, until he spotted the super tactical droid, force-pulling and disabling it as the 501st used jetpacks to launch their counterattack from underneath the bridge. Number 2. Torturing prisoners. It's no surprise that torture is a war crime in real life. The infliction of severe physical or mental pain for the purposes of obtaining information goes against the humanitarian laws of war. Featured more than once during the Clone Wars, a variety of different Jedi are seen torturing prisoners in order to extract desirable information. One of the more notable instances took place when the bounty hunter Cad Bane was hired by Darth Sidious to steal a holocron from the Jedi Temple containing a list of...
Okay, I can already take a guess like which one it's about to happen. I remember, I want to see like if I guessed correctly. So I remember in this like arc right here that Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mace Windu, and Anakin Skywalker all use the Jedi mind trick all at once on Cad Bane because he's very strong mentally, and they tried to do it to like have him break, but it can cause some serious mental damage. So I'm willing to bet that's what Red 5 is about to explain. So let's continue.
Force-sensitive children to kidnap. Needing the location of where Bane hid the holocron, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker joined their power in the Force to enact an incredibly powerful Jedi mind trick, one that threatened to painfully break Bane's mind had he not agreed to take the Jedi to his hideout. Likewise, Anakin once physically beat Geonosian leader Poggle the Lesser before grabbing him with a Force choke when the Separatist leader was held prisoner. Force choking in itself was a frequent move used by Skywalker in times when he was alone and his emotions were running high. Additionally, the threat of harm coming from a lightsaber was used on more than one occasion. Ahsoka held her lightsaber to the throat of Newt Gunray and threatened his life for information.
Tell us what we want to know right now, or I will gut you like a Rokarian dirtfish.
Anakin also did this with Admiral Trench,
like master, like apprentice,
his cybernetic arms, while claiming he didn't possess the weaknesses of other Jedi. Number 3, using illegal weaponry. There are several types of weapons that are banned in warfare, according to international humanitarian laws. This included cluster ammunition, chemical or biological weapons, poisoned weapons, certain landmines, and incendiary weapons, like flamethrowers. During the Second Battle of Geonosis, Jedi General Ki-Adi-Mundi led his troops against Geonosians and, in an almost excited tone, yelled,
"We're almost through! Bring in the flamethrowers!"
He unnecessarily authorized the use of incendiary weapons on sentient beings. Number 4, killing fleeing combatants.
Hey, I support Ki-Adi-Mundi in that position because it was bugs. So blasters were not really that effective because they're flying and they're actually pretty quick. So flamethrowers was the best option for that. So on the Geonosians, so I support Ki-Adi-Mundi on that decision right there. All right, now this one said killing fleeing combatants.
The Grandmaster of the Jedi Order himself was innocent when it came to committing war crimes. On one occasion, he killed multiple unarmed and fleeing enemies. In one of the very first episodes of the Clone Wars, Yoda is accompanied by a contingent of clones on the neutral world of Toydaria in an effort to convince the world's king to join the Republic. At the same time, Count Dooku sends Asajj Ventress and a battalion of droids to take the world by force, resulting in a battle in which Yoda has no problem killing droids attempting to retreat. Seeking to evade his lightsaber, they tried to fall back before being pulled to their demise.
But what,
Number 5, killing unarmed enemies. Right in line with killing
considered,
fleeing
like,
enemies
sentient?
is the act of killing an unarmed or surrendering one. Hors de combat is the proper term used that refers to a person who is defenseless or clearly expresses the intention to surrender. In Revenge of the Sith, Anakin quite literally disarmed Count Dooku before also deciding to kill him with
It's
minimal
all
convincing
Anakin.
from Palpatine. Then there's Jedi Master Kit Fisto, who slaughtered EV-A4D, General Grievous's medical droid, which, if you really want to get into it, killing a medic is another war crime in itself. Finally, there's Mace Windu, who, had Anakin not stopped him, would have plunged his lightsaber into Palpatine. And yes, Darth Sidious was playing possum, and unleashed a torrent of Force lightning seconds later, but it still counts. Number 6, the use of child soldiers. The Geneva Convention prevents the use of child soldiers under the age of 15. Well, as the Clone Wars began and the Jedi were either dropping like flies or spread too thin, they began to push Padawans to the front lines. This includes Ahsoka Tano, as when she joined Anakin during the Battle of Christophsis, she was just 14 years old.
Oh, yeah, that's
Another
right.
likely case would be the Padawan Nox. Alongside his master, he took part in the defense of the Temple of Edith on the planet of Devron. Nox and his master Halsey were both brutally killed by Savage Opress. The Republic does include thousands of inhabited systems. Surely they could have found effective leaders within the various planetary defense forces, as they did with many of the admirals. It probably would have saved a few clones' lives too, like when Ahsoka led all but 2 members of her starfighter squad to their deaths when breaking the Ryloth blockade. If you really want to get technical about the use of child soldiers, the clone troopers aged twice as fast as average men, meaning they were 10 to 13 years old during the Clone Wars. Number 7, the use of a slave army. Obviously, using slaves for any purpose is illegal.
Okay, so now we're starting to point out like some of the things that the Jedi have done. In my opinion, some of it are kind of like in the gray area. Like, I know you're not supposed to kill a fleeing unarmed combatants, but Master Yoda did it to droids. But I know some of you guys are gonna probably debate on this. I know that they may be like programmed and they may be like robotics, but they're not like organic, like, flesh and blood. So I don't know if that would technically count, because like some of these killings are like robots and like droids. I know you're probably gonna say like droids' lives matter, but it's kind of in the gray area right now. Now, this one is the use of a slave army.
Legal by humanitarian law. Technically, the clones were not stripped of their lives and the rights they held before the war, but they were bred and programmed to willingly fight for the Republic. They thought of it as their duty. They loved their Jedi leaders and wished to bring peace to the Republic, but they were still living beings that had no choice in their life's direction. Some clones did choose to desert and get away with it, but there were even covert ops clone troopers that hunted down those deserters. Dirty work that even the most loyal of clones would be hesitant to carry out. Number 8, breaking treaties and attacking neutral powers. Neutral parties have rights in wartime. Think about Switzerland. Neutrality is one of the main principles of the country's foreign policy, which dictates that Switzerland is not to be involved in armed conflicts between other states. This policy is self-imposed and designed to ensure external security and promote peace. Belligerents may not invade neutral territory, and a neutral power resisting any such attempt does not compromise its own neutrality, which brings us to the planet Mandalore, which led the Council of Neutral Systems during the Clone Wars and had treaties in place to stay out of the conflict. And while much of the planet's government had changed during the Clone Wars, and they were harboring Darth Maul and assisting his Shadow Collective, those treaties were still in place. Maul was an enemy of the Jedi, but not a member of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. So when Ahsoka Tano and the 332nd Company arrived and began the siege of Mandalore, they were attacking a neutral power and breaking a treaty. This was pointed out by Mandalorian Prime Minister Almec. Number 9, training terrorists. The Jedi and the Republic were fine with sending troops to Mandalore at the end of the Clone Wars, but hypocritically took issue.
So I want to bet he's talking about like training like some of the freedom fighters like Saw Gerrera, but I don't know if they would be considered terrorists, so that's what I'm saying. But let's see what he has to say, but I just wanted to like put in my thoughts in.
With sending forces to Onderon to help the world's freedom fighters resist the Separatists'
I was right.
forceful takeover of their world. Count Dooku had turned Onderon from a neutral world to a separatist-aligned planet by supplanting Onderon's king with one who answered directly to him. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Captain Rex were still sent in secret to train the freedom fighters, showing them how to fight back, and even joined in the fight against the droid armies occupying the planet. However, in a legal and political sense, this could be perceived as training civilians to become terrorists while also aiding in terrorism themselves. The Republic had no political standing on the world to begin with, only responding when the leaders of the resistance movement asked for help, one of which was Saw Gerrera, who became one of the most violent rebel extremists during the reign of the Galactic Empire. Number 10. Ordering friendly fire. Largely due to the actions of one Jedi, the tragic campaign on the world of Umbara resulted in the deaths of several clones. Well, yes, the Jedi in question, Pong Krell, was corrupt and had fallen to the dark side. He hoped to gain an apprenticeship under Dooku by causing massive amounts of chaos among his troops. This decision culminated in Krell tricking the 501st and 212th Legions into attacking and killing each other from friendly fire.
It was General Krell. He sent us to these coordinates to stop the enemy. We thought they were wearing our armor. But it was you.
However, Krell was ultimately killed himself after the clones discovered his treachery and mutinied against him. But which war crime committed by the Jedi Order do you think was the worst? Did we miss out on any? Let us know in the comments. Come join us to chat more at our community Discord server, linked in the description.
Okay, so that was 10 war crimes committed by the Jedi Order. And I like how almost like 7 out of 10 of them all had Anakin Skywalker in it. So you pretty much know, get an idea like who committed the most war crimes. But however, I know that in a legal sense, they do look pretty bad. But no, I guess there were like some situations, if you look at it, they do look like war crimes. But if you look at it another way, then they're not really war crimes, like per se. So say for instance, like that part right there, like training terrorists. So if you look at a Republic standpoint, you're doing a good thing because you're helping people liberate their world. But if you're part of the Separatists, then yeah, you would see them as terrorists because they're the enemies. You're trying to maintain and keep control of the world, but there's people there undermining it. So I guess the war crimes is based on kind of like a point of view. And like I said, there's a lot of gray areas, whether it's actually true or not. So that's why we do have courts. Like that's why there's cases to like debate whether it actually is a war crime or if it was necessary. But either way, another great video by Red5, so shout out to him for doing this amazing video. But anyways, that's gonna be it for today, guys. So thank you guys for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed my reaction and kind of like debate and discussion with it. And also hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. And also thank you so much for your continued support in this channel. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys are having an amazing day or night wherever you guys are, and I'll see you guys next time.